This video may contain spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. If you haven't watched Sonic the Hedgehog 3, what are you doing with your life? Okay, I'm kidding. Everyone, it is time. By the time this video is out, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will have released in theaters. And as mentioned at the beginning of this video, there will be a section in this video that will contain spoilers for the movie. Here's a timestamp of where the spoilers are contained within the video. You know, despite most of my content actually being Sonic related, I'm sure some of you might have been wondering just when I'm gonna include a power scaling video involving Sonic. Well, the wait is finally over. And what better way to celebrate the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 3? By going over Paramount's incarnation of the character, and also see how he would fare against another popular character in media, Legendary's Godzilla. Both of these characters don't really have anything in common. But it's not like Paramount's Sonic is a stranger to fighting giant-sized opponents, and seemingly overcoming impossible odds. So in a hypothetical scenario between these two, which one would more than likely claim victory over the other? My name is Umbra. Join me today as we discuss who would win between Sonic and Godzilla. Alrighty, let's not waste any time. Let's get going. Sonic's attack potency, or power output, should scale to his physicality, since the same amount of power being exerted is flowing throughout his body, so it should scale to his attack potency and durability. Now when it comes to movie Sonic's scaling, his first notable feat would come from the first movie, when while running he causes a power surge that wipes out power in the entire Pacific Northwest, with this being calculated to find itself within the megaton ranges of power, or around city level. Keep in mind, Sonic did this accidentally, and also at a point in the movie where he had no control over his own power, which later on he learns how to harness. Now according to Tails, this feat had also reached his home planet across the universe, so it's actually likely much more powerful. We also see this burst of energy happen again in the second movie. With just one of Sonic's quills, Eggman caused an explosion, with this burst of power finding itself to be in the gigatons, to even the teraton ranges, or island to country level. Again, with just one of Sonic's quills. All of this without even considering that hedgehogs have as low as 3,000 to even 7,000 quills. With this in mind, you could multiply this feat even further to get a higher result for Sonic's attack potency, which when multiplied into this range, he would find himself in the multi-continental ranges of attack potency. Now, Eggman's machine in the first movie, the Egg Pod, was actually powered with one quill, and given what we know with just what one quill is capable of, and given that Sonic overpowered the mech that was filled with his power, for him to fall into this multi-continental tier really isn't too far-fetched. Sonic would only continue to grow in power as the movies progress, especially with Eggman seeking greater sources of energy, such as the Master Emerald, to beat Sonic. Now let's talk about Sonic's most famous trait, speed. How fast is Paramount's version of Sonic? At the beginning of the first movie, Sonic states that as a kid, he was fast enough to run across the island of Green Hill in less than 2 seconds. These speeds finding itself in a range of requiring at least massively hypersonic to even sub-relativistic ranges of speed. And this is just as a baby. Sonic would only grow and get much faster. For some more consistency though, as an adult, Sonic ran from Montana to the Pacific Ocean and back in only a few seconds, with this speed finding itself to be in the sub-relativistic ranges of speed. Sonic also perceives both missiles and bullets as nearly completely still, with these speeds finding itself to be in the relativistic to even faster than light ranges. And keep in mind, Sonic did this all casually and in a non-charged state. His speed only increases further as he charges up. Now, since Sonic's own power does scale to his attack potency, and as said all these feats were done in his base form and in a non-charged state, you could use the 3,000 to 7,000 multiplier for his speed as well, considering, well, it's a power increase that enhances his strength and speed, so it works. Now by taking the sub-relativistic ends, and multiplying them by 3,000 and 7,000 to get a minimum and maximum for the range of speed, we get an answer of, holy shoot, 22 billion to 52 billion meters per second, or about 74 to 174 times faster than the speed of light, or FTL plus to MFTL. That is crazy fast. This would actually fit into his line of scaling, especially considering it took one quill to power the egg pod just to catch up to a based Sonic who isn't even charged up. And Sonic, while charged, can blitz the machine that previously could catch up to him in a non-charged state. That's pretty crazy. So to recap, movie Sonic would find himself to be at least island level to multi-continental, and as for speed, he would range from at least relativistic to MFTL in terms of speed. Not bad for only 2, well, now 3 movies. Alrighty, I think it's time we move on to Godzilla scaling. Now, I've sort of scaled Godzilla before, back in my Rayquaza vs. Ghidorah video. But since this is a special occasion, with a special video, not only celebrating Sonic 3, but also Christmas, it's only fitting that I have a special guest for this section of the video. Say hello to Viper, who will be covering Godzilla scaling for the video.
Hello, it's me, Viper, and I want to say thank you for Umberly Wolf for letting me on his channel, first of all. It's an honor to work with him, especially on an interesting topic like this. So we're going to start with the essentially baseline for what Monster vs. Godzilla would scale to. The baseline would be multi-continental to planetary, release several and upon several of calcs that would get in either of these tiers, and the fact that Godzilla, Ghidorah, Shimo, and Kong are all called planet busters. Even Godzilla specifically saying that he would completely destroy the planet.
She must be super strong breath that can freeze everything, and you also know it's calm, and she's massive.
She knows sort of this weapon of mass destruction. She's so powerful, she can basically destroy the planet.
But this is only a baseline for these characters. Let's get into the higher ends. The higher ends involving the more solar or stellar, I guess is the word. This stellar end essentially involves the fact that in Monarch Legacy of Monsters and the novels, several statements compare the energy readings of the Hollow Earth portals to things like supermassive black holes, pulsars, gamma rays, and the energy readings are in fact backing this up. And obviously we know that not only can Godzilla blow a hole into them, and that Godzilla is compared outright to these energy readings, that the aforementioned 4 characters and anyone who scales to them to a decent degree also can destroy the planet that contains several of these things, with calcs for these portals and Godzilla's specific feats getting anywhere from the dwarf to large star ranges of power. This is the most consistent end for legendary Godzilla's power. However, for a bit of a higher end, let's quickly cover the fact that some of these calcs and some of these statements at the highest end can in fact be taken at a solar system level of energy if you take it at its absolute highest end. But I think personally, the star levels of power is the most consistent in that general range, whether it be dwarf to large star level. For the speed of these characters, relativistic is pretty consistent due to the fact that Godzilla's breath is called a Cherenkov radiation beam, which is 75% of the speed of light, and even sometimes just outright called a beam of light. With Ghidorah's and Kong's reactions being calced at relativistic to the beam, however, there is some FTL metas from the fact that you can actually get some characters' reactions to the beam higher, specifically Kong's. This would be consistent with Mechagodzilla's beam, which is outright referred to as a laser, which it does follow the properties of a laser, therefore meaning it is the speed of light, and Godzilla's reaction in his weakened state against the mech is calced at FTL. For Godzilla's hacks and abilities, he doesn't have much. He has enhanced senses, which can make him do things such as see around the world, or have like thermo vision. If his eyes are knocked out, he can still see with thermo vision. However, the main thing that he has is his atomic breath and pulses, which are actually their negation and regeneration negation, as well as a small form of power negation as well. This is due to the fact that this beam was able to one-shot the Shinomura being a kaiju that can regenerate on a cellular level, meaning that he can come back even if he only has one cell of his body left. This is backed up by the fact that Godzilla's beam is compared to be in a quantum state, which actually does work on the atomic and subatomic level. Meaning that Godzilla's beam, and probably his pulses as well, are essentially their ability negation.
Thank you, Viper, for going over MonsterVerse Godzilla's scaling. As he said, MonsterVerse Godzilla would range from planetary to even large star level in terms of attack potency. And as for speed, he would be at least relativistic to FTL in terms of his combat and reaction speeds. Now, comparing the stats and scaling that each character has, it's quite clear that MonsterVerse Godzilla has a huge, actually an enormous edge over Movie Sonic in terms of attack potency and durability. Sure, yeah, lower ends of the MonsterVerse get to around multi-continental, but with how the MonsterVerse works, working on a more planetary to stellar state of power, Movie Sonic doesn't really have anything against that. Yeah, sure, Sonic is much faster, but his speed isn't really gonna matter if he can't damage Godzilla. And unlike his game counterpart, he doesn't have as much stamina. Meaning all Godzilla needs is to bide his time and then wait for the right moment to hit him. And then game over. There is maybe a potential way to get Sonic higher. In the first movie, with just one of Sonic's quills, after Eggman examined its power, it was stated to have unlimited power, which is some high universal scaling, I guess? This is honestly a pretty wank end for Movie Sonic. There's totally no way MonsterVerse could do anything against that now, right?
But hey, did we talk about wank? I got some higher wank ends for you. Not only is Mechagodzilla said to have boundless energy, the Mechagodzilla's beam is also referred to as having the same amount of energy that the universe would have, which is backed up by the fact that director of the novel, Greg Keyes, outright said that Godzilla's beam is the most powerful force ever in the universe, not just referring to nature, but outright the most powerful phenomenon in the physical universe, which you can even argue that this refers to things like the Big Bang. If you want to wank the Big G-Man, you can arguably get him to this universal levels of power.
Oh yeah, that. I don't ever recommend winking one character just to overpower another, especially in this scenario. Both have similar wank ends. Although, if one of Sonic's quills does have unlimited power, and Sonic has 3,000 to 7,000 of them, then that would sorta mean Sonic would be 3,000 to 7,000 times into high universal. Again, I don't ever recommend using these. They could become relevant in later films for both franchises, but for now, it's best to stick with the consistent stuff. Consistently, Movie Sonic doesn't have a way to overpower or defeat Godzilla at all, and Godzilla only needs one lucky hit, and Sonic would die. Oh, you guys are still here? Okay, cool. So, as mentioned earlier in the video, there are spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where the meta for the verse begins to shift even more, into the planetary and stellar ranges. And this comes from the Eclipse canon. I can't show any footage of the scene since I don't want to get copyrighted, but basically, with the Eclipse cannon intending to destroy Earth completely, with ends for this feat getting to at least dwarf star to even large star in terms of its power. While Base Sonic doesn't really scale to this directly, this is Shadow's energy used to power the Eclipse cannon, and Sonic scales to Shadow, so yeah. Now keep in mind, the movie literally just came out, so maybe more precise calculations will be done. But so far, planetary to potentially star-level metas for Paramount's version of Sonic seems to be where it's going. With this meta in mind, Movie Sonic would actually be on par with MonsterVerse Godzilla. You would be able to damage him and get away with it pretty easily due to his speed. Godzilla isn't quite out of the game yet though. A well-timed attack and also a nuclear pulse could definitely do some pretty big damage to Sonic. But given the speed difference, this would likely not happen in the first place. However, if you don't think Sonic in base should scale to this, at the very least his super form would. Which, while in that state, he can manipulate reality. and potentially be able to beat Godzilla from there. But what do you guys think? There doesn't seem to be a pretty clear winner, at least with this new meta. Sonic either blitzes Godzilla, he wears him down with his speed and power, or Godzilla gets a lucky hit in or two and manages to beat Sonic from there. But yeah, I'll actually let you guys decide on who wins this matchup. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been quite a year. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have people like you to support me. Just you taking the time to watch one of my videos, leaving a like or maybe even subscribing or sharing or commenting really makes my day. And it helps reassure me that what I'm doing is maybe worthwhile. And once again, thank you Viper for joining in on the video. Everyone go subscribe to him. He's been one of my main inspirations when it comes to power scaling and wanting to understand it more. So me having the chance to collab with him is truly an honor. Thank you Viper. Alrighty, with that being said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all. Peace.